Hello everyone, I am Mad Capper, and today I want to bring you to my free-to-play account to talk about the arena. With the advent of Platinum Arena and the release of Tormin, suddenly things are becoming a little bit more interesting. The reason I thought I'd take you to my free-to-play account is to show you two things. First of all, this game is not necessarily pay to win. Pay to win is a common term used for when whales or people with large amounts of expendable income, or sometimes not expendable income, but they choose to spend it on this game. Now we can go from hundreds to thousands of dollars every week just to be able to have a competitive advantage while playing the game. The reason why I have traditionally said this is not a pay-to-win game is because in 90% of the content, all you need is 5 champions that are able to compete effectively against the enemy, which is a PvE enemy. It is an NPC enemy. The exception to this rule has always been the arena. While this is not a fully developed area of the game, in my opinion, I do want to see at some point us getting to live battles and being able to one-on-one pit your best four against their best four without knowing who's going to put one up ahead of time, which is a lot more strategic. For the time being, this is the one area where pay to win can happen. Now, as you can see here, while I am not pay to win, this is completely free to play account. You do see that I do have some pretty good RNG. I have gotten my Martyr and I have gotten my Venus. I am a level 55 on this. I'm not that far into the game. I am past my 90 days. And as you can see by the power, they are not fully fleshed out in gear yet. But again, I still want to have arena tokens, and I still want to be able to get those arena tokens so I can level up the Great Hall. When we look at this account, this is a good example of an early to mid game transition. I've gotten through the campaign, so I am past that early game where I'm trying to just level my champs, get 6 stars, do it. I'm now firmly planted in that early to mid game transition where I am trying to improve my gear on my base 5 or 6 champions that I have that I'm going to use to progress forward through the mid game. Now, it also just so happens that I am lucky enough that I do have a combination of champions that work really well in the arena. One of the key attributes that you need to think of when creating an arena team is synergy. Now, I have a team that does synergize very well. Like I said, my RNG has been really good. I have a counter attack ability, I have a nuker, I have a turn meter manipulator, and I have a debuffer. My counterattack initiative is also crowd control, which is one of the key elements to a successful arena team. There are 2 things to think about when an arena team is what 4 champions you're going to put and in what order you are going to put them in. As you can see here, I have my turn meter manipulator going first. That's going to be critical because I want him to boost the rest of my team to ensure the rest of my team goes before anyone on their team does. That is a key to victory. The second thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want a debuffer. Now, Venus is probably the best utility debuffer in the game. Her support kit is absolutely amazing. And the reason it works in Arena is because of this ability right here, which gives me a large decreased debuff and weaken ability in the same ability, so that when I'm going to try to debuff them, and I'm going to land that, which is going to allow my nuker to do more damage. Next up, and this is where I still have work to go, I need to book, but I'm going to put a decrease attack and provoke on the team, and that's my crowd control. What I want to do is I want each of these champions to attack Martyr, who is a defensive based champion and can take the hits a lot better than, say, Kale, who is my current nuker. Now, Kale, he's going to take up the final spot. He is my nuker. He is not a maxed out nuker. He doesn't hit as hard as I'd like him to do, but I think he hits hard enough. Now you see I have a lot of damage on some of their key nuking champions, and then I can progress and slowly pick them off because they're not going to be able to attack me. They're going to be using their A1 skill to attack Martyr. From this point, it's just a matter of taking out them one by one, and then bam, you've got a win. So that's how you're going to win. Now, this is the same whether I am at where I am in this team, Gold 1, or whether I'm going to be Gold 4 or Platinum. It's the same basic elements. Alright, I'm going to take over the audio to avoid making absolutely no sense. I can't guarantee it's not still going to happen, but at least I can blame no one but myself if it doesn't. So what I'm basically trying to say is, you have 4 elements, which is key to making a successful team in Arena, whether you're in Bronze 1 to Gold 4, anything in between, and most things beyond. Those 4 key elements are turn meter manipulation, crowd control, team debuffs, and damage dealing. Now, you may not need all 4 of these elements depending on who you're going against. The higher you get in the rankings, the more varied the teams you're going to face, and therefore the more varied teams you're going to need. Crowd control can come in many different ways, and there are champions that have both nuking abilities and crowd control. We're going to go on to my main account here to show you what team I use in that account, and you'll notice that it's very similar to the one we were just talking about. They're all higher level with better gear, greater artifacts, and a better great haul. But at the end of the day, the same 4 elements exist as they did in my free-to-play account. I have a team lead that is a turn meter manipulator, followed by my crowd control. In third, I have my debuffer, and then I have my nuker. That specific combo works really well for me because I do have one of the greatest AoE nukers in the arena, and that is Ethos. And Ethos can take down most enemies simply by having enough crit damage and a debuffer ahead of him that can land his or her debuffs. It is not the only way to win. Keep in mind, like I said already, you have to be more varied and more able to bring in different champions as the need arises. There are not just Tormin, but many other champions that are going to offer a varied variety of challenges that you need to overcome. Some of these might be with high resistance or with faster speed than you. Others might just be a massive defense that you can't seem to overcome just with a single nuke. The key to high level play is to be varied and to have different opportunities and abilities, whether that's creating teams with synergies that are inherent in the game, like Cupidus and Venus, or Sinesha and Skullcrown. Other ways might be to overbuild defense, or ensure that your team is always going to go faster than theirs by using someone like Lord Shazar to have that higher speed in Arena versus Arbiter, who I happen to use at 30% Arena ally speed. When we look at this example of my main team, where I have Arbiter, I have Molly, I have Ceres, Madame Ceres, and Ethos. Those 4 work in a particular turn order to ensure that I can manipulate their team before they can do the same to me, and I can win the match. Now, Lysandra is probably the best turn meter manipulator in the game, so I have to be really worried about that. Plus, they've got Shazar and Elenero, so Shazar is going to put out the bombs, Elenero is going to detonate them. I have to be worried about that. Doom Priest is going to refresh, which will take off any crowd control I have at the beginning of their turn. So in this one, it's really critical that I go first, or I'm probably going to die. I'm pretty sure in this example, I do go first. I'm just taking a long time to hit start. There we are. So as you see, it was a slow team. It wasn't a very well-built team. With my boost, I'm now going to go faster than all of them. Molly goes up next. She's going to crowd control. All of them, they're crowd control. They aren't going anywhere. There's the debuff. And then finally, Ethos can lay down the hammer with his A3, which is a critical attack always. And boom, 3 of the 4 are dead. Lysandra's usually built with pretty strong defense, so she obviously was able to resist some of the damage. One of the great things about Ethos is that he's 100% critical on his A3, so you don't even have to build anything other than crit damage on him and probably attack damage if you're able to, attack percentage. So there's an example. It was an easy win, an easy way for me to gain my 4 arena medals so I can continue to build my great haul. All right. In this next example, I have 2 turn meter manipulators on the other team. Now, I don't know exactly what their speed is. I don't know if I'm going to go first or not, but I am worried about both Seeker and Apothecary. So rather than putting Molly in for crowd control, I'm going to straight go for double turn meter manipulation and Sylar. Sylar is a dark elf with an awesome kit led by her A3 leaden legs, which actually reduces the enemy turn meter. So again, I got first. And I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but as it turns out, Molly would have had enough speed to beat them, but I didn't know that ahead of time. So I wanted to make sure that I continually stop them from going first. There you go. I have, and then after that, again, it's an easy win. We just have to take care of Skull Crown, which I believe I just easily do with... do I remove her buff there? Nah, see, I never seem to land that. I need better accuracy on my wonderful Arbiter. But that's one of the things I have to build. Right now I've been focusing on speed with her. I will start working on getting her accuracy, which I think is about 200 right now. Getting it up past the 200 mark into the 300s. There you go, another pretty easy win, another 4 medals, another chance to upgrade my arena accuracy. Now, we've mentioned Tormin the Cold. Now, Tormin the Cold has created a whole new meta in the arena, specifically in the higher end of Arena 4 into Platinum Arena. And so, the deal here is now you have to find champions that are able to do the 4 basic elements: turn meter manipulation, debuff, crowd control, and nuking damage, while not doing any self-buff. So here's the team that I've put together. Unfortunately, they're not speed tuned, as you can see. I've already got my Skull Crown going first. I don't want that. I need my Tyrell to go first in this case. But there you go. So she nukes, and now she's frozen. And now we got Lead and Legs here. That reduces their turn meter instead, so it's not a buff. We're good. And then we've got Tyrell. He got frozen because of a passive mastery. I can easily take that off him. It's not a big deal. And then our nuke. So this is an opportunity for me. If I get rid of the masteries on Ethos and on Tyrell that are going to freeze me, 3 of my 4 don't have any buffs that are going to cause them to be frozen. So I'm going to have a lot better opportunity to win these fights versus Tormin. Now, I know he's getting buffed, or sorry, debuff. He's going to get nerfed, as they're saying, but still remain very strong. As you can see here, he is very strong. In this match, it's a perfect example. I'm sorry, it's kind of, I'm losing some frames here, but you get a pretty good idea of what's going on. This new meta with this new champion is really forcing people to reevaluate exactly what is important in the arena, and where speed, turn meter manipulation, positive turn meter manipulation, so team turn meter manipulation, and buffing was big, and things like shields, self-shields, that kind of armor is good. Now we're looking at the other side of things, where we can actually reduce turn meter, where we can debuff only, and we can get rid of some of these passives that are causing them to get frozen by Tormin. I actually think it's an exciting time because you're going to find new combinations and new metas. This is a perfectly viable meta that if I can get these champions re-geared and get their speed up to where it needs to be, they're going to be just as viable in the endgame arena as some of the other ones, and certainly the same as my current speed meta. So the last topic I want to talk about is your Great Hall, and a lot of people ask in streams that I'm also in, well, how do I build my Great Hall? And a lot of times they get a quick answer. Oh, build your accuracy, build your resist, build your crit damage. Some people build your defense, attack, HP. There are 6 attributes you can build, and I'd like to explain to you why you want to build them and in what order. Obviously, you see what order I've built them in, and I'll explain how I've built them so far and how I'm going to build them going forward to complete my Great Hall. Accuracy is the most important stat you can build, and the first stat you should build in the Great Hall. But why? Well, it's quite simple. If we go take a look at one of the champions, and this is my Molly Tankard as she's currently built. She's got her total stats here, but what I want to focus on is her base stats. Her base stats are her 18,495, attack of 881, defense of 1465, 107 speed, crit rate 15%, critical damage 50%, resistance of 80 because dwarves have higher resistance than the other factions, and debuff accuracy of 10. So when we go back to what you can build in your Great Hall, you've got accuracy, resistance, crit damage, defense percent, attack percent, health points. So these all apply to your base stats. So as you can see in this picture, I have the Great Hall stats as I have it currently built. Now, my debuff accuracy, the base accuracy, is 10. By leveling it up to, 7, I have a plus 50 for my Great Hall in debuff accuracy. That is a 5 times improvement over the base stat. Debuff resistance similarly, even though I have the resistance of a dwarf at 80, 15 with a maximum of 80 is where I can go, is 100% better, or a 2 times increase in base resistance without any artifacts. Before I even gear my champion, I can get double the resistance, and then if I max the accuracy, I can get 8 times the accuracy on my champion. Even critical damage. Now, her critical damage is 50%. A lot of the damage dealers are around 60%. You can get 20% extra. So in this case, that is a 40, when I max it out and she gets an extra 20% crit damage, that's a 40% increase in your crit damage simply with no artifacts, simply by leveling your Great Hall. Now, when you compare this to defense, the best you can get is 10%. Well, 10% of 1465 base is 146.5. So let's round 146.5 up to 147. That's still only a 10% increase over your base stats. Whereas with debuff accuracy, you're talking about 8 times. For debuff resistance, you're talking about 2 times on the dwarf faction. 146.5 is not a very strong increase. 10% versus 800%, 100%, 40%. And that's why you want to concentrate on those stats. Now, keep in mind that resistance doesn't play a big factor in the campaign, in the dungeons, in the clan boss. So if you're at the point of the game where that's your focus and arena is a secondary focus, you may not want to hit your resistance high right away. Definitely if you're looking at arena and you're looking at mid to late to end game, you have to have resistance, and it's going to be probably critical for you to start looking at resistance and getting those up to the max level in your hall. What I'm personally going to do when I finish my accuracy, I'm going to get all my accuracy to level 10. Then I'm going to move over to my crit damage and make sure they're all at 6. And then I'm going to go back and get all my resistance up to 10. And then finish off my crit, then defense, then hit points, then finally attack. The reason for that is, of course, defense is a little bit better because for every point of defense, it makes your health more effective. So it stands to say that no matter whether your hero is an attack, support, defense, HP champ, the defense is going to have the ability to improve stats. I do show my ethos as well. This is a place where I definitely want his crit damage. So my Void team, Void is where most of my damage dealers live. So I do want to get that Great Hall bonus as much as possible. I want to get that crit damage well over 300 to be able to seriously compete in the late game. So once again, as a final thought on that, my opinion and my recommendation is max out your accuracy, get your crit damage to the top of the silver tier, which I believe is level 6, then work on your resistance as soon as you're ready to jump into the late game of the arena, and then work on your defense, HP, and finally your attack percentage. Alright, I think that's where I'll end it. I think I went way longer than I wanted to, but hopefully I gave new mid and mid to late game players some different information and different perspective, or at least an affirmation of perspective on where you want to go with your arena champions and how you want to build your Great Hall. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. Feel free to share it in Discord with all your friends. And if you have any questions, please leave me a comment, ask me what's going on. I really enjoyed the interaction I got through my Unkillable Clan Boss video, and I'd like to keep that going. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, or anything you want me to go through, I'd be more than happy to. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to do championship guides because, frankly, I'm in a guild with Chosen and Dragon Paws and Villar Gaming, and all three of those guys do a way better job at reviewing champions than I could ever possibly do. I'll leave a link in the description below to each of their YouTube pages. If you want to learn stuff, feel free to visit theirs, tell them that I sent you, and I don't know, frankly, it'll make me look good. With that, one final thing, of course, keep your stick on the ice. Thank you, I'm Mad Capper, and have a good night.